Hello and welcome to episode 487 in the Decide for Impact podcast. Today, you're listening to the conversation with Priscilla Zamora Politis. Priscilla is a global leadership mentor, speaker, and social entrepreneur working at the intersection of conscious leadership, work, and life transitions and community. With over 15 years of international experience, she has supported leaders, organizations, and networks across Latin America, Europe, and the Middle East to navigate change with clarity, humanity, and inner alignment. Priscilla is a LinkedIn top voice, a UAE Golden Visa holder, as a content creator, and now she's creating Beyond Work, a platform exploring new paradigms of leadership, work, and life beyond hustle. Her work is deeply inspired by the community living in the inner development goals, both expressed as being an Emerge Lakefront alumni, and has the belief that meaningful work should expand life, not consume it. My name is Erno Hannink, and I share my knowledge, experience, and insights with you. I coach entrepreneurs so they can make decisions that will help them grow their impact. This was a very inspirational conversation, and I was very curious to learn about what she was doing today. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this new podcast episode. Today I'm talking to Priscilla Zamora. Welcome, Priscilla.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, because we met on a conversation where we talked about, well, the common topic was about the transition of the systems of inner development goals, the foundation and everything around that. And you explained to me in a later conversation that you are now living in Dubai. How did you get to Dubai? Because you're not coming from Dubai.
No, yeah, today I'm living between three continents. I'm originally from Chile, so I have a lot of projects and my family, my networks are most of them in Latin America still. And on 2025, I find out about this community called Emerge Lakefront, which is very related to the inner development goals. And I stay there for 5 months. But I've been related to the IDGs for almost 3 years when I co-founded with two other friends, the first hub in Chile regarding to that. And I've been in Dubai a couple of times before, but it wasn't until January of this year that I came for like a personal development conference. And I was supposed to be here for a week, which ended up being 3 months. And it actually ended up getting a residency and coming to live here and having a base. Related to, I think, that environments that support entrepreneurship in a fast-paced environment. I don't think that there's a place in the world today like Dubai. And also, regarding to many biases that people may have, there is a lot of personal development, inner work, and transformational changes, structural changes happening here too. A lot of the conversations. So I love to have that mix, a little bit of Europe, the Middle East, and Latin America.
And you were going there for a self-development project. It's probably not a project, but what ignited that? What started that?
I think that in the personal development / spiritual path, however one wants to call it, because for me are very related, you find different authors, networks, platforms, experiences. And for me, one that helped me a lot in the last, I would say 5-7 years has been Mind Valley, which is a platform for personal development, but also has different approaches on business, physical health, mindfulness. And they had this conference called Future Human in January on 2025. And that was the reason on, I don't know, I think 6 months before on 2024, when I just read it, I was like, I have to be there. I don't know how I'm going to get to Dubai and be there in January, but it was like, I always have this expression of when something pulls you, like you read something, it's like, oh, I have to be there. That happened to me with Future Human, and little I know that that was going to be like a series of a chain reaction on many things that will happen in my life. It was the same how I read about Lakefront on LinkedIn, and it was the same like, oh, I had to be there. And I'm trying to lead my life now that way, like following a little bit of calling, intuition, something that is not always intellectual. We can go a little bit more on that, but that's how I got to Dubai, and that's how why I'm here.
Okay, so the title piques my interest, right? So, Future Human. What did you learn there?
It's been, I think that as many people maybe, I developed my life very related to academic achievement, societal expectation, family expectation. I think that that kind of way of thinking can lead you to a point, to a certain point in life. And then you are like, in my case, was reaching a position in as C-level executive in a large corporation. And then I was like, what's next? And then this void of existential crisis started. And that's when I find my value and many other experiences. That's everything online mostly. And they teach many things. But one thing that actually caught my attention the last few years has been how manifestation, visualization, and also kind of a little bit of playing with the laws of the universe and quantum physics help you navigate and co-create your reality. And that for me, in the beginning, I was so skeptical. I was like, what is this? This is not on my, like, I can understand this. I can go to the university to learn this. Like, how, what? And I always had a lot of like resistance and I must say, judgment for those kind of things. So one part of the conference was about that. And it was incredible because a lot of magical things happened to me while I was in that conference. That's why I actually ended up staying 3 months. I met someone that I met someone, and you sometimes leave intentionally an empty seat. And I recommend this to everyone in a conference. Like you make the intention, I'm going to leave this empty seat. So the person that needs to come and sit with me comes, and I'm making the space for it. And that's how it started. And I started meeting people. And then I bought one course. And then I got invited to another conference. And then I met people in the street that they were in that conference. I met some of the speakers. I met some speakers after that. I was following them for years. And I got invited for free to an $8,000 conference that I wasn't paying. I saw it. I was like, it would be great to go there. But I didn't. And in the end, I ended up because I canceled my trip. The day that I was supposed to leave Dubai, the conference was a few days later, that more top conference. And I got to be there too. So all those months, it was like everything was like meant to be. When everything is aligned and you have those synchronicities and like those things that you can explain, it was all about that. So it changed completely now how I'm living, how I'm making decisions, that experience. Yeah, some of the things are about that manifestation, visualizations. Other things are, I don't know, I'm not very into it, like biohacking, physical health, and other people is more into that. Other are more in mindfulness, meditation, which is wonderful. I've done it for many years too, but I'm not very into that now. So in the end, you get to choose like Feng Shui, Qigong, many experiences. Like, and I think that that's how it's supposed to be too now. We don't have to follow one guru, one discipline, one religion. We get to choose what resonates with us. And some things will be in a certain period of your life. And then you maybe, I don't know, you find curiosity for another thing and then for another. And that's how we are. Like, I think everyone has that power of to find the path and develop themselves as listening to their intuition. So yeah, for me, it was kind of that case, and it's absolutely magical. For me, at least, it's been my experience. I really recommend it.
I'm interested in the part where everything changed because before, like you said, you had a lot of university studies, you did an MBA, you worked in corporate companies like LAN Airlines and Volvo Trucks. What happened that you kind of like threw that life overboard that you said, okay, this is not working for me anymore?
Well, I worked 10 years and one day in the corporate world, it really felt like a sentence. I always joke about it. It was like a prison sentence. I don't want to see it like that either. Now I look back and I understand why I went through those experiences. But for me, and being an older daughter, They were the first one in my family going to the university, like a lot of pressure on how to behave, how to be the good girl, how to be the financial pillar in my family. Like it was so much pressure. So I did by the book everything that I was supposed to do. And when I finally got the corner office with the good salary and the nice title and reporting to the US, traveling, having a team reporting me and doing all this serious work that you're supposed to do, I start feeling this emptiness in my heart. It was a very dark period because I didn't know what I was going through. Everything looked good on the outside. You are supposed to be successful. If I complain, I kind of felt even guilty. Like, why should I even complain? This is what everyone wants. And I start like having not understanding and suppressing it. And with that, I start having anxiety and later on panic attacks. And I remember I was going through this Women in Leadership Roles program. And I was telling my coach, I don't understand what's going on. She didn't understand either. Like it was getting so big. She sent me to a psychiatrist. I started taking pills. I started taking like 4 pills per day, like for anxiety, to wake up, to sleep. Like, and I couldn't know. I was trying to get all the guidance that I could from different places. But now looking back, I see that I started what I call a long dark night of the soul, where everything that I thought that it was supposed to be in reality, it was not. It was not fulfilling what my soul came to live in this earth. And I didn't know what was going to be the next step. And in that void of not knowing what's next, but definitely I'm not this one that I'm supposed to be, that's when I started like falling apart. So I had 2 months of psychiatric medical license. In the end, I told my boss in the US, you know what? I think that I could be like this for months. I don't think that I can go back to the office because one day I tried to. When I needed to be resting at home, I went to the office anyway because I needed to see what's going on. And I was like worried. I was in the parking lot in my car and I had the worst panic attack. I was like 20 minutes. I couldn't move. I couldn't ask for help. I thought that I was going to die there from like a heart attack. And it was so scary. And then I was like, what am I doing? Like this has to stop. So in the end, I started negotiating my exit. And I was telling my boss, like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do. It's not that I'm going to any competitor. It's not that I'm like starting my new business. I have no idea what I'm going to do. And I feel that I need to take some time to do it. And it's not that I had infinite resources to do it either, because it sounds so privileged. I'm going to take a few time and discover what life has to. No, I took all my savings. I ended up also asking a credit because I needed to pay like any human beings. I had a lot of like responsibilities and debts, but I was like, I need to be 1 year calm. So I did that. I left my job. No one understood what happened to me. I think that till today, people don't know what happened to me. They don't understand. And it was so hard for me to even talk about it. And for a year, I started making courses, trainings, learning, just exploring. I didn't have anything in mind. I started, I don't know, like entrepreneurship, political science and diplomacy, gender equality, spirituality for entrepreneurs, mindfulness. I did so many courses. And in the end, all of that came up finishing the year with me studying in Thailand with a fellowship for a gender equality trainer, hired for UN Women for 3 years for a large project, and getting serious with my company that almost lasted the following 10 years. So all of it came together without knowing where I was going. And it kind of makes sense. And that's how it kind of shaped my path for the next almost, I would say, 9 years. But it didn't make sense in the moment that it happened. And it can be so confusing, that moment when you don't know, in the liminal space, when you don't know who you are. You know that you are not the person that you used to be, and you have no idea what is the next step. And that can last weeks, months, or even years. And I talk to now that I can with a lot of people about that. And I will say that comes also like close to when you're 40, midlife reflections slash crisis. But I think that it's good to see that it can be not even just beautiful. I think that it can be such a sacred moment for everyone in life if you take it seriously, if you really listen to that call. And fortunately, it was my case.
I'm always curious, but I'm especially curious now in this part where you have so many expectations on your shoulder from your family, from yourself, from society, from the culture, and then you break with everything. You say, okay, I need to stop. I need to pause. I need to recover because I'm not doing well. I need to see where this is going. In that time, that year, you do all these courses, but how do you talk to your family? How do you have conversations with friends, the people that you know, the people from the old world, the old Jew?
That's a good question because not everyone will go with you
Yeah.
in the next chapters of your life. In my case, I did, well, many types of therapy and coaching as well. And I think that in that one, because I've lived two times this crisis, I had a
Mm.
recent one. In this first one, it was a lot about these family loyalties, or like be someone different than what my family was expected. Was very related with my parents' expectations, my great parents, my great everyone, like all my ancestors. I felt literally all the weight of my ancestors here, of what I thought that they were expecting from me. So it was very related to that, and also to this image, this persona of the successful executive that I wanted to embody. Also letting go in a personal level, like I need to forgive myself for looking for that and not be able to hold it in an honest way, because it was just like costume that I was wearing. It was literally like I was wearing the suit to go to the office, and then I was someone else. Like I was never meant to be that person. I was meant to learn that, how it is and how organizations work and the power dynamics and how influence and all of that. But I think that those were my two like challenges. And of course, all the people that I knew by then, I think that, I don't know, I may be in touch with just a couple, but not many people. But with that year, it opened so many new networks of people that were in these kind of topics, in spirituality, in entrepreneurship, in gender equality, in social justice. So, and in a more global network, I would say. So that was a good thing. But the rest of the people, I would say, just honestly, like 10% of the people that I knew follow me to this new chapter. And now I'm going through another one that I'm actually closing. I've been in a new Dark Night of the Soul for the last almost 2 years. And I would say that almost again, maybe 10, 20% of the people that I knew are coming with me in this other new chapter that has me in these three continents. And that's and a beautiful thing also to see is to remember that nothing is forever. Everything has just a little moment in life, just as you may be part of someone's life or network or work for a certain short period of time, and we're just playing roles in this path that we're going through life. So in the beginning, I didn't understood, and now also being more related with communities and community living and nomadic life, that is the one that I've had for the last 5 years. You see more naturally that people come and go, and that's okay. It gives you also the opportunity to be more present and to know for sure that maybe you're having a great time or you're building a great project with some amazing people, and that's not going to be forever. This is now, and we need to like really enjoy it and be present when it happens. So now I'm more like, it's okay, even when family and close friends, because in my last crisis where everything actually fell apart, I got divorced, many close friends I had huge problems with. So it was even more like stripped off of all the identity that I had. And now I'm going to, again, a new chapter. So yeah, it's like a spiral. It's not like I wish it would have been like that, like smooth. At least I know that I'm like climbing a mountain, and it's like no, it's like a spiral that comes up and down and has no logical path to my limited human head. But I think that it makes all the sense in like the laws of the universe, I would say.
Is there, I was just watching this talk, um, and it's about the longest research on humans, about what makes us, happy in life. And the most important element that they found, and the research is going on for 85 years already. So the current researcher was talking about this research, and he says the most important thing that humans, make humans happy and live longer is friendship, is closeness, is being with people that you love, and people that love you, of course. How do you, or even maybe the question could be, do you recognize in these crises friends who will be with you no matter what, that will listen to you, hear your point of view, be able to translate that to seeing the new you and to stick with you on that journey? Do you see that? Do you recognize those people? Do you see the people who still love you no matter what you are going through?
Yes, absolutely. It would be so ungrateful if I wouldn't, because in every moment, even the darkest moment when everything looks like so terrible and you have like any type of crisis, I think that we are never completely alone. People that, if you have the fortune of having friends for years and decades, or like those childhood friendships that I love, I don't have those. I have mostly people that have been incredibly supportive in different chapters of my life. um, I don't think that we can survive by ourselves, and we can do that until a certain point. But when you work on yourself, and this is very related to inner development with inner work, you start dissolving this idea of separation, that everyone just handle their own lives, and like, no, it's we are all intertwined. We are part of the same thing. All of us, all human beings with this beautiful planet, we are the same. And that idea of going back to unity, for me, it's very strong and rooted with friendships. And I will say you can see that easily in community living. I didn't live in any community until this year. The last 5 years, I've been living a more of part-time nomadic life, living 6 months of the year abroad in different co-livings or in different spaces. But this year, I lived 5 months in this community that is related to the inner development goals. And the one, people ask me, like, what was the main takeout on this? There was a lot of intellectual stimulation and growth, spiritual growth as well. But for me, the most important one was how my heart expanded, loving the people that was living with me. That was something that I could have never thought it would be so incredibly powerful. And it was because we didn't just become friends. We kind of, and I'm worried about this word, because when I got there, I was like, I don't want to think that we're all like a big family, but it's the closest thing that I've lived with the strangers, feeling that deep feeling of sense of family, such a strong, deep sense of belonging. And I know that those are bonds that are created for me for life. I'm going to follow these people. They're not going to get rid of me. And I keep talking to them, even though I left 2 months ago. So yeah, absolutely. I think that if you need to have your also heart open to receive help, And that is a huge learning. It has been for me, especially when you have this mindset of, I can fix everything by myself. I'm a fixer, I'm a leader, I'm a oldest daughter, whatever role that you have. If you are like a fixer, it's hard to receive help. But the crises are an amazing opportunity to also learn that and also to ask for help, not fixing everything by yourself. So friends and family has been an incredible support, even though they not always know what to do or to say, but just being there, just listening to you. And it's a wonderful thing when you get to do it back. So I think that is also reciprocity. It's an important part of this energetic thing. For me, it's like energetic. It's like you give, but you also need to receive.
And as a fixer, is that a part of you why you became an entrepreneur as well?
Yes. I never thought about myself as an entrepreneur because for me, it was more of the academic achievement when I was young and when I was in the university. So it was like, it made sense to work in an organization, just like achieving, like doing what everyone was expecting to do. And when you're an entrepreneur, usually the story of people that are independent and have their own business is that they were always like the black sheep, like they didn't follow the rules, because you shouldn't follow the rules if you're going to create something. You're seeing that there's something missing and there's a problem and you want to fix it, and there's a reason why no one has done it. So I think that it was kind of more like an accident that I became an entrepreneur. It was very related to my ego. I think that in the 30s, there's something very dangerous with people working sometimes in social or environmental causes. It can be so easily confused with a savior mentality. I'm going to change the world. And we all want to change the world when we are very young. Like, I mean, many people, at least, this call of working with something with purpose. It was more that call that I had, working in something that had meaning instead of doing a meaningless job. So, and I think that I became an entrepreneur and I kind of shaped that mindset on those 9, 10 years that I was. Because in the beginning, I had no idea what to do. My small company was bleeding money the first 3 years. And my partner and I, my business partner and I were like just putting money out our pockets to make it work. And now I kind of know how it is to have a sustainable business model, that even though you're still going to have crises, and even being a social entrepreneur, because I was working with the Sustainable Development Goals, gender equality with UN Women, and like many things, you still drag many things of the private sector that you hated so much. You still bring them with you. And if you want to be a social entrepreneur, you want to like go against everything that you knew about business and you don't know it, but you fall in many. That's such a trap. Like you do anyway, many mistakes that you learn. So it was super interesting. And I also think that if you are an entrepreneur, it's such a big part of your spiritual development, your personal development. All your flaws and all your shadows are going to be shown there in your project. All the beautiful things, of course, but also all the little things that you need to keep working on yourself are going to be maximized there. So oof, is for the braves. I really admire the people that are entrepreneurs. Doesn't matter the size of your company, if you're one person or 100 or 10,000, it's for the braves for sure.
So it has nothing to do with being smart.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah. So how do you see the relationship between inner development then and entrepreneurs?
This is a really good question because, well, I'm a female entrepreneur, which is also very different. There are many different types of entrepreneurs. I was more into the social entrepreneurship bubble. and I led a certified B corporation, which are companies that are certified, that they have a business model that impact environmental or a social problem in society. And as I was saying before, it's not a space that it's not a perfect space. And even B Corp are the first one to know that our companies are not perfect. But there are a few elements that we keep dragging. And I'm very kind of against that now. And I don't want to create from those paradigms. One is the hustle culture, like working 24/7. It's so rooted that if you are an entrepreneur, you need to be scrappy and you need to fight for the things, and it's gonna be challenging all the time. And there's no conversation about being calm, center, having fun or pleasure, even doing your things. No, it's you're always gonna go, 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 go. And that's very masculine. I can see a lot of the bro code, a lot of, not everyone, of course. I've known amazing male entrepreneurs that are very connected with their inner development, but I have to say that it's not most of them. It's not a majority. It's easier to find that between female entrepreneurs, having that different perspective on business, caring of people, having different cultural paradigms, not working 24/7, even if we could, because we also are either mothers or we have these different social roles, taking care of people and the communities. So it really, and I saw myself in those 19 years, how I changed from this paradigm that I thought that business were, and through my own inner work, how it changed my own little company. And we ended up making retreats with my team. It became so important to have all that we had all this development in ourselves to make this foundation of professional friendship. It never was friend of you need to be a person in your work and you need to separate your personal life from your work. We are the same person. We're the same people. So for us, the most important meeting of the week was the weekly check-in. And it was just about how we were. And that meeting was supposed to be 30 hours and then ended up being 90 minutes. People leaving my company, then they were asking me later, can I go to just that meeting? Because I need to just feel part of something. So I could see that also seeing my own curve in my inner work, I passed from trying to change the world and trying to see I'm impacting 30,000 with people in Latin America, blah, 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 until I can make such a different company with these 7-8 people that are so close to my heart, that are so important to me. And that is the impact that I get to do. I get up for that, not for the other thing. The other thing was it's a beautiful result, but if I can go deep, deep, deep in my impact, it's my small company. But that was only as a result of my personal crisis, which I share, and I cry a lot in my business meetings too. But I got to see that, and I've seen, it's also you're more mature as well, and age helps, but I've seen with a few entrepreneurs that have been through that learning process as well.
Would it then be looking at the traditional thinking, right? So you say the most important thing for me is helping these people grow that work in your company, 6, 7, 8 people. Would you then feel that it would be better for society if we grow these companies to 10,000 people so that we can help even more people to grow?
No, I even think completely different now. I think I don't want to have a company again, or at least in this new chapter, I want to work on my own. And I want them to become their own companies. The people that was working with me to become solopreneur as well. Because when you are freelance or you're working for someone as they were doing, you don't get to get completely autonomy on your decision. Anyway, it was people that I love, and we were having this amazing culture, but they were reporting to me. They were following certain, mandates that we needed to do. But since I could see the result of having my own company and calling my own shots, even though I wasn't like an entrepreneur in spirit all my life, I became that. I want people to live that experience. And the first one, actually, for example, is my sister. She worked with me for the last 5 years. She is a sociologist. She's making her own company now, which is incredible because this is like kind of what I'm expecting for people, and thinking about the future of work, and thinking that probably by 2030, there's this some people is talking that thanks to AI, we will change the way that we're working, and we won't be working from Monday to Friday. Maybe we will be working for 3-4 days a week. And also with that, there will be many layoffs, yeah, and in the next 5 years. So if more people is prepared to have their tools to create their and lead and have their own company, a one-person company, that will be incredible. It's not being a freelance, it's having those tools to create something, solve problems, and have autonomy for your own life. So I kind of want that everyone goes through that. You can have even like, I don't know, two people. And now, well, actually what I do now is I keep working with other people, but it's a different way of relating. It's like more peers, instead of like having a triangle or having too much hierarchy. So that's what I want now. And there's like a say of, no, there's a study that is like until a certain amount of money, people is happy. After that, it's like, doesn't matter if you make 1 million, 10 millions a year. There is like a perfect shape of a company. It's like 5, 6, 10 people, you know all their names, you know all their stories. You make a minimum amount of maybe €500,000, $500,000. So you don't get so stressed about like you need to keep growing. You don't have shareholders. It's still on your control. Like having small companies, small, medium companies, it's a beautiful thing. And we don't have to grow all the time. It doesn't have to be. And that's something that also was like my corporate mindset. Like you need to grow every year, 50%, 100%. Of course, when you are like a little company, it's easier. But I felt that I touched that ceiling 2 or 3 years, and it was amazing. It was incredible. That was like perfect for me. So yeah, there are different ways, and we need to talk more about the beauty of small businesses.
I agree. I agree so much with this. This is There's a number of interesting movements and books around this, like Small is Beautiful is a great book on this, and also the zebra community, which is, related to the unicorn, right? The unicorn is the idea that you become huge, you become the number one in your thing, and you become a huge organization or company. But zebras are intentionally staying small and care about other things than just grow. And I think it's I'm not sure if it's human. I'm thinking about my words here. So I think it feels like it's human that we think we need to grow all the time. So if we have a social company, if we have a company that makes an impact, like in social or in economic or in climate, whatever field it is, and you're making you're having a huge impact, that we always feel it needs to become bigger, that we need more impact, we need to change more people, we need to help more people. And then I'm not sure. I'm questioning that, since I've been working on my own for over 20 years now. I question the whole idea that we need to strive for more impact. Like you just mentioned, I think it's important that you grow people, who you know, can overcome difficulties, can build good relationships. So instead of training or educating, I would say we develop people, right? So that they become better humans. And that's why I am feeling very attracted to the inner development goals, because I feel that the values and the skills that are portrayed in the guide help helps the individual, not all 25, you don't need all 25, but you just need a couple depending on the situation and the phase that you're in your life. You choose the skills that you want to work on, that you want to develop, that you want to improve, because it makes you a better human, and that helps other people to become better humans. That's how I see the inner development goals. And that's also, in the end, I believe that's how we contribute to a better planet or a better environment or a better humanity or, a better future for all of us, all living organisms. So I agree with that point. And I can also imagine that by coming from, like I have, like you have, like from a different environment where you studied an MBA and where, scaling is important, where profit is important, where there's a lot of focus on profit, right? We need more profitability. It's so ingrained in the system, in society, in our news, in our media, that it feels like if you're talking about small, that you're not normal. You're different. You're strange. Your thinking is not going to work for the world. Maybe even they say you're a communist. Okay, so you're thinking of going back to Stockholm for a couple of months to this community. What attracts you in that?
Intentionally designing the most beautiful life that I can get. That means taking the best that I can from different places and also leave what I can bring to those places. And my three places today are Dubai, Stockholm, in Emerge Lakefront community, and in Brazil. That I've been. I just led a retreat with a friend for women that are change makers in November. And we will do another 2 versions September next year. What happens? I mean, I do this intentionally. I'm going to Europe to get in touch with people there, to know what they're talking about, especially in the inner development goals. I mean, that's in Sweden. Most of the people that create it or they're very related to it are there. And it kind of brings me this intellectual stimulation and the kind of reflections that I want to have with incredible people from different parts of the world. And one thing is Emerge Lakefront as the community related to the inner development goals. And another thing is Sweden. And the first time that I went there this year, I was just for the IDGs and the community. I didn't know that I was going to Sweden too, and I was going to Europe because it's so different, so different. I have stretched my worldviews being consciously related to still Latin America and also being here in the Middle East now, which is incredible. I love it. This is like running the marathon for me. It's amazing, the contrast, and I love it. And that's what I know that I bring there, not just my Latin America. It's more like a global South perspective when I go to Europe. But I love at the same time to be inspired. This next year, I'm also trying to be more intentional on visiting other countries and other communities to keep learning from other places. So, but for me, actually, it's more of a like intellectual or spiritual retreat, I would say. Like I'm going there to get inspired. It's not honestly my rhythm of creating projects. And this is very interesting. I didn't feel so inspired in creating businesses or being an entrepreneur there. I have another rhythm, I have another pace, and I don't see it so much there. And it's a very interesting cultural thing, I would say. Or maybe it was also because I was in a community that was very reflective. It was very introspective. It was not so much still on the doing. And that, now that we're getting into, I think that is something that the IDGs is missing as well. Like, where is the action? We are a lot in the frameworks. We are a lot on the theories. And I love that, as I said, from in my intellectual side. Like, it's amazing. But it's not the place for me to do things. And I wonder now that I'm just telling you, if that's why we get a little bit stuck on, we need to get our hands dirty. We need to get to make pilots. And I see that risk, that tolerance of risk, or maybe in embracing different things, easier, in an easier way in other parts of the world. Maybe because we don't have nothing to lose, or maybe because we need so much and we're so used to survive that we have this thing of, this hunger of doing things. I don't feel hunger in Europe. It's a beautiful, calm place for me. I go there to settle. It's my moment of stability in the year. The moment of wild, raw pain, get dirty in the mud, for me, is going to Brazil and get in touch with nature. This November, I was seeing cobras in my retreat. It's really wild. And in Dubai here, it's like, there are huge events. Next week, I have a huge event on social media. People from all over the world is coming. It's another mindset. For me, it's like more corporate kind of still, or business-like, and you do networking with 100 people in 3 hours. It's crazy, and everyone is introducing everything so fast. So that's why I kind of need that balance. It's hard for me to just be in one place. It wouldn't be possible. But I try to see the appreciation of it. And for me, Europe, it's teaching me so much. And actually, I don't want to go to university again. I think that I'm done with the academics. This is kind of the way that I want to keep learning from amazing thought leaders, and talk about philosophy and talk about frameworks and keep learning about that. But we need a balance, and we need different forces. We need those diverse points of view. And I think that that's kind of why I even go to bring these reflections of what's going on in different parts of the world.
How do you see colonialism from your perspective in relationship to the Organization of the Inner Development Goals?
The first time, to be completely honest, when I attended the summit, the IDG summit on October 2023, I thought it was an amazing initiative. It was so interesting. But my sense was, this is very white, this is very European. And it's easy for me because I just sat there and I saw a lot of beautiful blonde people in the audience. I mean, you can get any photo and you don't notice if you are one of those, but I saw myself like, am I the only person of color here? Like, what's going on? It's tricky because I know that there is so much heart in this initiative. I don't doubt that. And we work from our own experiences, our cultural background, our environment. So how can I blame people that is just too much of a certain way if they are like that? The thing with privilege is that we need to come to the realization that that is not the complete truth of everything. There are other worldviews. There are other ways of creating, of prioritizing, of living, of making frameworks. One of the reasons that I heard a lot from the IDGs in Latin America that the IDGs needed to be more diverse was, we don't see pain here. It's all very nice. It's very, even kind of sounds like a wishful thinking. Like, let's do this. I just landed last month in Brazil and I could feel the pain in that land. I could feel it. I know my people. I know my region. We have a lot of pain from especially colonialism that is so rooted in our history. Still, we're living through the effects of that, and that's just how it is. And I didn't see it on the framework. It was so refreshing that one of the new skills, not one of the new set, was forgiveness, for example, because it allows us to see other stories that they come with pain and reconciliation. And I think that that's very appreciated now from many places of the world. And I know, as I said, I know that it's not from bad intention, because every time I have this conversation, people is like, yeah, really, how we didn't notice, how can we do better? There's a lot of openness. But sometimes, I mean, diversity doesn't come just per se, just because we're saying that we are diverse. You need to go and make the intention of bringing different voices. And I feel sometimes that I'm there, like, I need to talk. Okay, again, I'm the only one from the global south, maybe the only woman, maybe the only, I don't know, like under 50, blah, blah, blah. And it can be exhausting because I don't want to keep doing that. I don't want to do that necessarily. But sometimes I feel that if it's not spoken, and I've seen myself in these spaces, in these environments, in the IDGs, even in my community, like there is something that is not being said here. And I feel it like coming with so much fire and strength through me. We need to talk about this. And also, well, there's so many things that I could talk about this, but culturally, the source of the IDGs is in Sweden, which is a very conflict avoidant culture, which is nothing like Latin America. We are going to talk here face to face what is bothering us. Why are we tiptoeing here? So, and I'm the least confrontational person that you could meet from Latin America. And I've seen myself in this need of people. We need to talk about this. What is going on? But one person told me once from Sweden, you know what happened to me with conflict? Is that I feel that it's like a million little knives hurting me. And that was so like, wow, thank you for telling me. Because for me, it's nothing like that. For me, it's being dishonest or being like a bad person. Like, but I can see where you're coming from, and it helps me so much to also regulate. How can we find each other in a way that works this communication from respect and from love? And I think that that's the path that in the IDG community we're trying to walk through, right? Like, how can we be better? How can we have more impact? And this amazing framework can work in different places. So it's a tricky thing to do, but I think that the good thing is that the intention is there. And that I appreciate so much, because otherwise I just couldn't be related to it. And I see it, especially in the moment that we are now, in the end of 2025, the IDG, the movement is going through a lot of changes. And I think that's going to be an amazing thing to see how it unfolds in the next months.
I agree. Talking about action and making it personal, what is it that you do with the inner development goals? How do you make it actionable?
I think that for me and the work that I've been doing in organizations has been very related to the pillar of the being, on how people working in organizations, you get caught so easily on status quo and doing things in a certain way, and just having different ways of stopping and challenging and unlearning different things. It's really appreciated in this kind of circles. I used to work with women's networks, for example. So we did a lot of like different workshops related to that. Not how can you become a leader? How can you be a successful woman in business? No, it was like, let's talk about patriarchy. Let's talk about mental health. Let's practice mindfulness, which was always the part that people wanted to cut from the workshops. And then when we finished the series of the 1 year program was like, but everybody enjoy just to stop 5 months in their hectic lives and get in touch with themselves, like in a more calm way, calm their minds. So in my work, I kind of do that, deep conversations. I'm comfortable. I'm not the person that you are going to talk about the weather in any meeting. I want to talk about what your soul wants in this world and those kind of things. So in the work related, it's kind of like that. But I will say that for me, especially this year, I'm kind of tired actually. It's been a full-time job, inner development. It was my number one priority, my spiritual work. It was a lot, and it was related to many different ways. From, I've been learning Kabbalah, for example, this year, which has been an incredible way of getting to know wisdom that could explain to me life and why the things that happen to me on daily life, on the daily basis. I can always choose a route for the evolution of my soul. That is one thing that Kabbalah has shown me beautifully. I've been in a year very connected with God and what God means in my life. God, the universe, life force, the name that you want to call the divinity or something bigger than all of us. It has been the most important thing, I think, in my year. And talking about that, for example, in private sector, I talk about that on LinkedIn. People are looking so much to talk about those things, to talk about spirituality at work. And I did some pilots about that in some companies, which is beautiful because you see it, people is not seeing it as a religion thing. I feel that there are not so much resistance. I think that we want to connect with something bigger than ourselves. So for me, that has been huge too. I just had this most amazing retreat in Brazil, and the connection with sacred medicines, it's something important too. And it was something that actually triggered my second dark night of the soul, an experience with mushrooms. But treating those kind of things as a sacred thing, for me, is really important. And the origin of the medicines, depending on which one, but many are from South America. Ayahuasca, for example, is there. And it calls my attention. People can see it in a light way in certain environments. I'm not totally supporting on that. I mean, of course, people is really free to do whatever they want, but there is something sacred about the mother nature and about the ceremonies. Even ayahuasca is legal in Brazil for spiritual purposes. There's a reason for that. So those experiences can also, they're not for everyone, but if you feel the calling, I would say that treat them as the most sacred way as you can. So yeah, many types of different practices, but for me, it has been huge this year. Too much, I will say. I will give it a break next year. Next year is for stability, projects, funding my lifestyle, and trusting on that. Like I also am not controlling that. I'm trying to see my professional future also in a different way because of all of these things that I learned this year. So I don't even doubt that it's going to be like that. It's going to be stable. It's going to be not a year of keep seeking. It will be more stability and embodiment of everything that I've learned. I'm gonna live a life of coherence, and I'm gonna see all the work through how whatever my life looks like next year.
I was hearing this conversation about how we look forward to the good in the future. So we have this idea, especially, of course, now in this time, because we live now in 29 December, so the end of the year, and it feels like we're closing one year, we're starting a new year, which of course is an endless process. It's not really starting and it's just continuous. But what I see is that when they were saying was we are looking to the future with the idea that things will improve, that things will get better. And we rarely look to the future as it might get worse, it might get more difficult. And since I'm a very stoic person, I think this is a great practice. Also, if you look at the coming year, not just from a perspective, oh, it will be more calm, it will be more interesting, it will be better, it will be, growth for me. So what if something bad happens? How would that influence the year? How would I change? What could I learn from that, right? So because bad things do happen always, they will. We may not see it for the future, but we know it from the past. It has happened to us, and it will happen to us again in the future. So I think it's an interesting exercise to see like perspectives, like again, a skill, like looking from various perspectives to the future. What happens if the year doesn't get better, or it may be I'm still in this liminal space, right? I'm still searching. I don't know where I'm going yet. I think that's because that was a question that came up when you were talking before. When you had this first phase and you go like, okay, I'm in this liminal space and I don't know where I'm going. And I know I can't do that anymore where I once was, but I'm not sure where I'm going. I was wondering, so do you have now a feeling, and you kind of explained it before, but didn't you have like a feeling that you know that you've come to the end of of your second liminal phase?
Yeah, I'm feeling now that I'm coming to the end, probably because taking action, it's a really good thing of leaving that space. I mean, if you can't even think about opening a company, making a trip, or making a life decision, don't do it. when it's too much, like you feel it, like it's a confusion in the head. Every little decision is like takes a lot of energy. You know that you're there. You know it's. I feel that in those moments you need to take life day by day, sometimes hour per hour, because it can get so intense. So just being very present and be thankful of having a place to sleep, to having money in the account, food on the table. It becomes like almost you're still surviving like every day, and that's enough. And appreciation, gratefulness is going to help a lot through that. And in the meantime, get devoted in that moment, in practices like devotion. It's another beautiful word for discipline. So if you're going through a crisis, embrace it with devotion. Study, read, meditate, eat, walk, nature, sleep. In those moments, in the liminal space, I think that is super important. Every book that comes to your hands is going to be the one that you needed to read. If you are devoted to that, that's when you're doing the work. Because it's very easy just to, I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to distract myself with anything, drugs, sex, TV, anything. You could numb that feeling. But if you look at it in the eye and go fully, I'm going to write these crises. I'm going to go through it. I'm not going to just pretend that it didn't happen. And it's going to be really scary because we're meant to, like, our brain is going to like, nope, this is unsafe. I don't know what's going to happen. But I really recommend that you just go fully to the crisis eventually, because it's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. You're going to start seeing little signs. You're going to feel a little bit more energy in the morning. You're going to have a magical conversation with someone. You're going to maybe watch a movie and you're going to be inspired. Maybe that conference that was so hard to go, but if you went and it was like, everything started making sense. Sense making started happening. But you need to, and this is the cliche that we all know, you need to trust the process. You need to trust divine timing. And trusting, actually, it's surrendering. We need to surrender our logical, limited human mind, and surrender may look different for people. For me, it was being in a 52-floor hotel in Dubai in March during Ramadan, not knowing what I was going to do with my life, being out of money, needed to leave the country, and crying on my knees, asking for something bigger for directions because I didn't know what to do. And usually when we don't know, like, I have no idea what to do, I have no money, I have no solutions, that's when we give up. And that's when we let enter divinity, God, light, the creator, how you call it, the universe. It's going to come and like, finally, you stop controlling and it comes in your life. And nothing automatically is going to happen in that second, but probably in the next minutes or hours or days or weeks, but it will happen. And that's when you, at least in my process, everything started aligning. And something important to go through this also with this surrender, this illogical certainty that everything is going to be okay, which is faith. But illogical certainty, I like that concept. Like, I'm about to make a tattoo about it. I need to have illogical certainty that everything is going to be okay because I'm trusting in something bigger and I'm trying to let my mind, not controlling, I'm surrendering. Is that when bad things happen, and this Kabbalah helped me a lot, but everyone in their own religion or spiritual ways can come up with their own idea. But I think that we came to this life to evolve as souls. So for evolution, I need to go through different things. So every time something happens to me, Kabbalah says, I got Sue. What a pleasure. How great, because now I get to choose. Either I'm going to act from the light of the creator and I'm going to accept it and see what I can do, see what I have to learn, maybe work harder, understand where this person came from, like what happened, or I'm going to blame that person. I'm going to blame the system. I'm going to say the economy is wrong and blah, blah, blah. And we have those decisions all the time. Somebody crashed my car. Somebody just caught me in the traffic. Great. This happened probably because I needed to stop 10 seconds because the street light was gonna, I don't know, divine protection. Like, great. Oh, this bad thing happened. Every time a bad thing happened, it's an opportunity for us to show up in a different way from the light or from whatever the opposite you think that it is. So for me this year, that I got divorced, I got sued too, I lost my money, like all of that has been so many opportunities to say, okay, I'm gonna send blessings to this person. I'm not gonna even think like, oh, why are they doing this to me? Because I could. No, you know what? I really wish you the best. I don't know why you're doing this, but this is helping me to be a bigger person, to wish you good, to wish you well. And that's good for me because I'm evolving. So in the end, if you would think that way, nothing bad happens. Actually, you could even look for, okay, bring me more challenges, because it's the way of, I'm expanded according to Kabbalah. I'm expanding my vessel, my container, my soul container, because I'm navigating this bad thing in a different way. And since I have a bigger container, I had bigger blessings as well. So I had a terrible year this year. 2025 was incredibly challenging, probably the most challenging year of my life. So that's why I know that 2026 is going to be amazing. Like, I have all the expectation that it's going to be incredible. It's going to be stable. I'm going to have projects. It's going to be amazing. And also like using other wisdoms, like the Chinese year. This was like, or numerology. This was a 9-year, many closing many cycles, many chapters. 2026 is a year of 1, new beginnings, new structures. So there can be like so many different readings from this, but I think that whoever had a difficult year in 2025, next year is our year for sure. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, even if it comes with challenges. Challenges are going to be great to keep growing. So yeah, that's me being annoyingly positive, but I think that we can see challenges like that.
Okay, so I want to close it up, but I have a final question in relation to what you just explained about challenges and what comes to us and how it expands your vessel. So if we look at the challenges that humanity or that life on Earth is facing right now, so let's say from biodiversity is degrading, or the temperature is rising, or whatever you look at, there's a lot of things going on. Democracy is disappearing. There's so many things going on right now. How do you see that from that point of view of challenges happening and expanding your vessel and seeing it as a good thing coming towards us?
Mm-hmm. Actually, it's very related to everything we talk today, because the source of this, one intellectual way of putting it is this meta crisis. So many things are happening at the same time, and we are like in the edge of either the extinction of humanity, like being very drastic, or the evolution of humanity. And I will say that we have those two narratives. Be completely pragmatic and also take like research, like what could happen. And yeah, we could have ended up the resources of Earth. Social gap and injustice is so big. The disconnection between us is so big that we're doomed. We already like past that. There's data that could support that, but nothing knows the future for sure. So you can have like a trend, you can have like estimations, but no one knows for sure what's going to happen. So that is one way that you can use those research and just make up your own thoughts of what the future will be. And in the other way, and I think that here is more related to solutions like the inner development goals or like systemic change from a different approach, is like, how can I work on the things that I actually can be accountable and responsible for? Because we've been talking so much in big words, changing the world, the SDGs, the 2030 agenda, like, I don't know. But in the end, nothing changed because we need to change. We need to change in a smaller case. Again, like, small is beautiful. small businesses, small communities, small impact. And the first thing, the most radical thing that we can do on all of this is work on ourselves. I don't think that there's nothing long-term sustainable change that everyone be accountable on how they're feeling, how they're talking, how they're behaving, the conversations they have, social media they consume, the purchases that they decide, people and parties that they're voting, what are they doing on the weekend, all of that. That is the only thing that is like actually in our control, and connecting with the big question, like, why are we here? Why are we alive? Why am I doing on this planet? And get a little bit more existential. And I think that the inner development goals help in that, especially the being pillar, like to get the real important questions. We need to stop and start like, that's the inner work. That's the work. Like, what am I doing? How can I be a part of it? And then connect with something, not just ourselves. If we can connect with something bigger than ourselves, we will find that unconditional, expansive love, this sense of unity between us and the planet is what holds us here. I don't see it working again, like from the mind, the limited mind that we have, making changes, policies, programs, companies, just for this little side of our beings. Our intellect is very limited. We need to like acknowledge that. So getting a little bit of more philosophical, existential, not by crisis. Sometimes life pushes us. I've been pushed. I haven't been looking for that, like in an active way. But in life, you get to learn from two ways, from pain or from inspiration, role models, these kind of spaces, for example. I hope that people that listen to this podcast get a little bit of inspiration in opening these conversations within themselves and their families and communities, because this is a way of avoiding pain through midlife crisis, losing your job, getting sick, because that's another way of waking up. So going within, going deep, it's a beautiful, annoying, transformational thing. I won't lie. It's beautiful. It's challenging. It's for the braves. But if we don't do that, it's going to take us longer, or it's going to be it. But I'm positive. I think that we are just about to take a huge leap on human development. I do think that these kind of conversations, the inner development goals, what's happening in the world. I'm having this conversation all the time, everywhere. It's not just in Europe. It's not just Latin America. It's not just Middle East. People want to do better. We want to do better. And I think that, yeah, we will do better.
Priscilla, thank you very much. It's a strong closing. It was a large question, a huge question, but also you gave us some great ideas of how we can start with the next step as individuals, with or without a huge crisis. It's not necessary, but if you're not willing to do the necessary things, it probably could happen to you. It happens to us. And so I'm thanking you, and I'm very grateful for this conversation, for your ideas, for sharing. I'm looking forward to our conversations in the future. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the space. I really appreciate to talk also about it. And it helps me keep thinking about my own processes as well. So thank you so much.
Dat was het mooie gesprek met Priscilla. Je vindt de namen en links die we noemden in het artikel dat bij deze uitzending hoort. Ga daarvoor naar decideforimpact.com/show 487. Wil je vanzelf automatisch de volgende aflevering op je telefoon ontvangen? Dat kan heel eenvoudig. Heb je een iPhone, dan zit daar standaard de Apple Podcast app op. Open deze app en zoek naar de Decide for Impact podcast. En klik op abonneer. Heb je een Android-telefoon, installeer dan eerst bijvoorbeeld de Player FM app. Zoek daarna de Decide for Impact podcast en klik op abonneer. Dankjewel hiervoor. Heb je vragen, opmerkingen of een reactie op deze aflevering met Priscilla of over de podcast in het algemeen? Stuur dan een e-mail naar podcast@decideforimpact.com. impact.com. Ik hoor super gaaf van jou. Wil je leren hoe je focus en energie vindt met jouw innerlijke kompas? Hoe verbinding in je team het verschil maakt? Hoe je vertrouwen krijgt in je collega's en hoe je een moedig mens wordt? Download dan het boek Impact Besluiten waarmee je nieuwe medewerkers aantrekt op de site voor impact.com. Dit is mijn nieuwste boek en je downloadt het daarom helemaal gratis. Je hebt zelfs geen e-mailadres nodig. Vraag jouw boek nu aan op de site voor impact.com. En ik weet, je hebt een volle agenda, je leest het in 1 avond tijd. Dankjewel voor het luisteren en graag tot de volgende.